The appeal of quick victory through clever traps has attracted participants for generations in chess. A complex loom where every action can be compared to a brushstroke that shapes the game's outcome. The skill of building traps for your opponent is a stimulating facet of chess. Even though mastery of openings, mid-game moves, and endgame elegance are the fundamental components of chess expertise. When you step above the rules of standard openings and organized play, unforeseen events can be a devastating tool. These traps, which have been put up intentionally and are waiting to emerge, indicate the awe and uncertainty contributing to chess's status as a captivating game. So in this video, we will look into 3 major traps to win at chess. Number 3, the fried liver attack. The game begins with white moving its pawn to e4 and black doing the same thing to e5. The white knight advances to square f3, attacking the e5 pawn. As a counter, black puts the knight to c6. After white advances the bishop to position c4, and black responds by moving the knight to position f6, the fried liver attack emerges from the 2 knights' defense. White places the knight on position g5, and black responds with a powerful d5 that attacks white's knight. White's knight captures the pawn on d5. Black reclaims the pawn on d5 with the knight. After the knight's capture on d5, white is in an advantageous position to initiate a potentially fatal counterattack by losing a piece. To force an immediate check, white gives up the knight on f7. With the king, black is able to seize the knight on f7. White moves the queen to f3, which puts the black king in check. The queen rushes out, launching a double assault on the king and the knight on d5. Black tries to escape by moving his king to e6, while protecting his knight on d5. As a result, the black king is extremely unprotected on e6, and white has gained an enormous edge. Number 2, the scholar's mate. It is one of the quickest and most perilous initial chess pitfalls for beginners to get caught into. Scholar's mate is a quick and easy way to checkmate your rival in only 4 moves. With white pieces, the king's pawn moves ahead 2 squares, from e2 to e4, as its initial step. Black responds with a mirrored pawn advanced to e5 just in front of the king. After that, white advances the bishop to position c4. This strategy sets up the trap by putting the bishop in a spot to strike. To advance the position, black puts the knight to c6. With the queen on h5, white makes the move. After this action, white's queen tags the pawn in the way of black's bishop, completing the capture. In response, black advances the knight to the f6 position. Finally, white delivers a checkmate to black's king by capturing the f7 pawn with the queen. Since this move takes advantage of the weakness of the f7 square and the black king can't legally retreat from this danger, white prevails. Number 1, the queen's gambit decline trap. White starts off the trap by moving his queen's pawn to d4. As soon as the game begins, black moves to d5, effectively claiming the central position. White opens the queen's gambit by placing a pawn on c4. Black plays e6, accepting the gambit while the pawns are still in good shape. White then moves the knight to position c3 to fortify the center pawns. After white castles the king's side, black retaliates by moving a knight to f6. To strike at black's d5 pawn, white sends the bishop to position g5. With a bishop, black responds at e7. At long last, white can take the pawn on d5. White aims to initiate a pawn trade as soon as possible. We refer to this variant of the queen's gambit declined as the exchange variation. Then black takes back the pawn that white sacrificed on d5. The white pawn moves to the e3 square. White builds up the middle, creating a rook for the bishop to advance. Black also progresses with the c6 pawn and protects the d5 pawn. There, white places the queen on the c2. White stops black from advancing the bishop to the f5. Black then advances the knight to e4. While this may seem reasonable, it is a disastrous error. Black plans to shift its bishop to f5 to complete the swap of bishops. By taking the black queen, white is able to gain an advantage on position e7, though at the cost of the bishop. Black restores the bishop with the queen. White uses the knight to take the pawn on d5. Since black's bishop is weak, he cannot take back control, and the game is currently in white's favor. Once again, black has the pawn on d5. With his last move, white gains the upper hand for good by checking his opponent's knight on square c7. That's all for this video. Leave your thoughts on this moment. Also, take a minute out and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned. See you soon.